and creeping Arabization of not just British Muslims, but London itself. But also, yeah, Whitechapel Road also contains, for example, a Starbucks and Argos, a real retailer selling crap furniture and children's toys, which is just about as British as you can get. And I think we could take it from Libby because she's from London. Yeah. So inside the heart of the East London Mosque, visitors were expected to dress modestly. Headscarves were provided at reception for any woman who showed up without one. A man on staff showed me around the bench quarters. He gave me a bag filled with books about Islam, and one Muslims were encouraged to establish the Sharia, or Islamic law. Those who ignore this mandate are of little worth to any society. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Like, there was open riots on the street. People were being attacked. No, he just went into a religious center. Wow. Horrific. Inside the East London Mosque, as you can see from a map that you put on this article here, Libby writes, it's next to a budget hotel, and conveniently just around the corner from a Tesco, there is a kind man. Call the Bobbies at once. But let's address the slime aligning with Islam, she writes. Once again, not explicitly saying what he means, because then he'd have to defend it. This is what we call dog whistle politics. We'll get to another big example of dog whistle politics in the news later in the show. Ron DeSantis, Andrew Gillum, let's monkey this up. Comments. Yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, the booklet says... The booklet says Muslims should reestablish Sharia, which signals to racists and morons everywhere that these Muslims are determined to force all women to wear headscarves and to stop them from driving. This is Sharia law. But that's not what Sharia is, Libby Watson writes, as Asifa Quarashi Landes wrote in the Washington Post in 2016. But Sharia isn't even law in the sense that we in the West understand it. And most devout Muslims who embrace Sharia conceptually don't think of it as a substitute for civil law. Sharia is not a book of statutes or judicial precedent imposed by a government, and it's not a set of regulations adjudicated in court. Rather, it's a body of Quran-based guidance that points Muslims towards living in an Islamic state. Islamic life, sorry. Excuse me. Not an Islamic state. So it's not an Islamic state here. Thank you. Please. Thank you. You're welcome. Please stop with that. But I do think we're really getting a very helpful message from Kevin Ngo, who is really seeing... She's really getting the full hands-on experience here, and we're getting full hands-on experience about what racist propaganda people say about Muslims. So we'll stop after this little dosage here. He says, quote, "But I was unprepared for what I would see next in London, a small town 30 miles north of London. This is Latin, not London, and the birthplace of the English Defence League, which held unruly anti-Muslim demonstrations. At the Central Mosque, I met a group of friendly Punjabi-speaking young men. 'You've come to see London?' One struggled to ask me in English. 'They can speak English!' The young men asked me to follow them to the town centre. First of all, yes, it's no wonder the Punjabi-speaking man was surprised Ngo had come to London, which is like a British version of traveling on purpose to Gary, Indiana. So pretty much she provides context here. Like, no one likes London. But Ngo seems to have located that 1% of people in Britain who would not only talk to a stranger, but offer to show them around the town. If you do that in Banbury, my hometown, Libby Watson's hometown, you probably have the cops called on you. One time I tried to get a taxi in Banbury after coming from the U.S., and a woman shoved my mom out of the way, saying, "We were here first." A more typical British welcome you can expect. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much like... I love this article here, and especially the fact that Libby Watson is an actual British person. By the way, check out our interview with her on Newsflash last month that we did, like literally last month to the day. But yeah, so that's worth checking out because she actually provides gets people to stop freaking out about the stupidity of this whole entire situation because she actually knows things about Britain. Yeah, so this is the next thing. I said we'd stop, but I just can't stop. Yeah, so within minutes, we walked by 3 mosques, which were vibrant and filled with young men coming and going. We passed a church which was closed and decrepit, and the window had been vandalized with eggs. We were squeezed by 100 residents preparing for Eid al-Adha holiday. Girls in hijabs gathered around tables to paint henna designs on their hands. All the businesses had a religious flair. Eaters were halal. Fitness centers were sex segregated, and the boutiques displayed modest outfits and mannequins. Pakistani flags flew high and proud. I never once saw a Union Jack. Oh no! Again, the number of mosques is implied, though not implicitly stated, to be frightening. That's a dog whistle right there. Mosques, creeping Islam, frightening. Oh no! That's pretty much what they're saying. I hope you do realize that's pretty much what they're saying here. And they're with a lot of Muslims. Had halal eateries. How dare they? Not seeing a Union Jack, by the way, again, British contacts here from Libby Watson, is perfectly normal. Though I've definitely noticed an uptick in UKIP flag flying in the past few years. Brits have never flown flags high in America as Americans do. That's just a cultural difference. It's not frightening, nor is it frightening to see immigrants flying the flag of their home country. Shocking. Yeah, so pretty much dog whistling here, fear, hyping, just very scary, delusional stuff here from the Wall Street Journal. It's pretty sad that they allowed this to be printed, just to say the least. Speaking of things in journalism being printed, I go from criticizing journalism to a piece about journalism and journalists possibly being massacred. Yeah, so the Department of Justice announced Thursday that Robert D. Chain, a 68-year-old from Encino, California, had been arrested and charged by threatening to kill employees of the Boston Globe newspaper, allegedly using language mirroring President Donald Trump's ongoing attacks against the media. So pretty much is what it was. Very disturbing stuff here, according to the DOJ. Chain began making threatening calls to the Boston Globe's newsroom. In the calls, Chain referred to the Globe as the enemy of the people, sound familiar, and threatened to kill newspaper employees. In total, it's alleged that Chain made approximately 14 threatening phone calls to the Globe between August 10th and 22nd, 2018. So pretty much when you get all this criticism, when you get all this slandering of the media, like these are some of the most insane people in the entire country, if not a group of the most consistently insane people in the entire country he's talking to. These are Trump supporters. These are people who are armed, they are delusional, and they are going to do something against the media. Like, Trump may not know this when he says this, but it is very possible, if not likely, that something like this could happen. It's very possible. Very possible that something bad can happen. Like, there is going to be a journalist who, at one point or another, just gets massacred because of this administration and some of the rhetoric, and he would be part of the, he would be a supporter of Donald Trump. Or a group. It's already happened! Capital Gazette! Like, a newspaper was literally shot up. It was literally shot up. Granted, the guy just wasn't doing it because this dude was mean to Trump, but it was just because, like, this is insane. This is, like, insane stuff that we are dealing with here with the one from the media. Like, just the blatant hatred of the media, the defamation of the media on a daily basis about things that they report that are actually true. Like, call out the bad things. Like we just literally did. Like, call it the bad things the newspaper do. Like, print racist stuff about how there are mosques everywhere, and immigrants like to do things that immigrants did in their home country. Like, print people who attack people or criticize, and I shouldn't say attack because you loonies are going to be like, Second Amendment, let's go. But just try and be reasonable and attack people who don't do this stuff. Like this is what they do. It's supposed to be a gunshot when they hear, like, people who say bad things. Like, that's the basic first reaction of somebody like that, and it's very disturbing. Very disturbing, to say the least. Like, I don't like that. I feel like journalists in this country, they are very unsafe. Like, as the way they are, it's quite disturbing, to say the least. And I think it's going to be very interesting. Like, how are we going to make sure that they're safe in the future? Because, like, it's more secure than they do. It's only a matter of time. That's all I'm saying. It's only a matter of time before something seriously happens, politically motivated by Donald Trump, where the media is attacked in a vicious, awful way. All right. We're now moving on to the last story of the day, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum wins. He pulled off a shocking upset in the primary race for governor Tuesday night in Florida. Yeah, so I just want to play with that theme song there. Hype things up. Who knows? Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum, he pulled off a shocking upset, The Intercept writes, in Florida's Democratic primary for governor Tuesday night, defeating establishment favorite Gwen Graham by a narrow margin of about 40,000 votes. 40,000 votes was pretty incredible. With all the ballots nearly counted, Gillum held a 2.8 percentage point lead over Graham with 507,000 votes to her 466,000. So pretty much she won by a pretty good margin of 40,000 votes there. He won by a pretty solid margin. But throughout the campaign season, Gillum trailed in the polls behind Graham and former congressional representative Philip Levine, former mayor of Miami Beach. Tallahassee mayor saw a surge after a late-stage endorsement from Senator Bernie Sanders, who traveled to Florida to stump for Gillum earlier this month. As of Monday, Gillum was polling in the number 2 spot, so that was pretty cool. His platform includes support for Medicare for all, criminal justice reform proposals, like the legal ground, like the legalization of marijuana, bail reform, and the repeal, Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which gained national infamy after the 2012 killing of Trayvon Martin. He also called for injecting $1 billion into public education and hiking the corporate tax rate. Gillum frequently reminded voters he was the only non-millionaire running for governor. He was successful in part, though, because of the backing of liberal billionaires George Soros and Tom Steyer, who poured more than $1 million into the race through their Open Society Foundation and Gen America, respectively. So Daniel Moran pretty much says that. Tom Steyer and his group Next Gen America spent $1.4 billion to bolster Gillum. Below are some of the figures that they've spent touting. A lot of it went in the field. Some of the few times Steyer has weighed in a primary, and this is likely his biggest win to date. And again, this is not something I like. I don't like big corporations influencing people. I don't like a lot of contributions. I don't like George Soros and Tom Steyer having any influence in our politics whatsoever at all. I hate it, in fact. So I really hope he decides to kind of wise up and by the way, just put it in perspective, Levine had $31.7 million, and he came in third. Graham came in second, had $7.8 million, according to campaign finance reports. But again, I do not like this at all. He had $4.1 million, Graham had $7.8, Levine at 31.7. But I don't like it at all. I really hope he decides to cut out the corporate money. But I would support him because he's the best candidate in the race. That's for sure. Because he's going to be running against Ron DeSantis. We'll get into him in a minute. And he works with corporations. Something I do not like. I wish he would stop doing right away, ASAP. And pretty much the main thing is I just don't think he should be getting money from corporations that way because it doesn't solidify his positions. Obviously, there's a myriad of reasons why taking money from corporations is bad. He does it. He should stop right now. It's that simple. Graham is a centrist, had the backing of Emily's List. Jeff Green, who's an eccentric billionaire, pumped millions of dollars into his own campaign, and for a stretch was pulling near the top of the pack, but Graham lit into him over his oil and gas investments. The Intercept subsequently reported he was a large holder of Puerto Rican debt, an impolitic investment in any Democratic primary, but particular in Florida. Not very good. So he was done. He promised to use his platform to advocate for Puerto Rico on a federal level and push the state to recognize Puerto Rican driver's licenses as official, which they don't do now, which is pretty shocking. Despite the major injection of cash from outside groups, the gubernatorial primary did not receive a lot of national attention within Florida. Gillum supporters complained the local press was not taking his campaign seriously, despite the energy his campaign generated among young voters, which is pretty good. So